Hey y'all, we're going to be working on our breastplates of righteousness today. I'm going to start off by turning my paper over and writing my name on the back in pencil. Now we're going to have fun playing with a lot of different art materials today. We've got watercolor pencils, we've got watercolor paints, we've got Crayola markers, which I'm going to show you how you can turn these into watercolor paints. We've got Sharpie markers, so you're going to have a lot of different options. Now before I get into any of my other materials, I want to kind of lay out my design. I'm first going to think about our verse for this, which is Ephesians 6:14. Now I'm a big fan of using pencil first. That way if I want to erase, I can easily do so. I would encourage you to draw even lighter than I am right here so you can easily erase if you need to. See right here, oops, I didn't leave enough room for my S. That might not bother you, but if you like things centered, then you might want to take the time and care to erase and just kind of recenter everything. Much happier with that now. You can do yours much differently than I am. I just want to give you an example and some ideas of words and designs that you might put on here. So I'm going to put just righteous in Christ. I'm going to do my pencil first once again. That way I have the ability to change things around before I commit to it in Sharpie or colors. You don't have to do everything in pencil first. If you're comfortable just going for it in Sharpie, you certainly can. But you're only going to get one of these pieces of paper because this is actually printed on cardstock. By the way, you do not have to go over your letters with Sharpie marker. That's completely optional. I'm going to thicken up my letters right here, but I'm going to use my pencil lines to help me do that. Any pencil lines that I have still kind of sticking out after I do this, I will be able to erase. So if you are not comfortable with bubble letters yet, but you still want to do them, a way to get comfortable with them is to just kind of almost trace around your pencil lines on either side and leave a little space in the middle, and that will form some bubble letters. Since I have pencil lines sticking out, I'm going to erase those out before I start to add any other color or details. I'm just going to go around and add some little patterns and designs all around my breastplate. Notice I'm just doing this straight with the Sharpie. I'm not too worried. If I mess up a little bit, that's okay. Now I'm going to start off with my watercolor pencils. And you can color with watercolor pencils just like you would any normal color pencil. But of course, these are water activated or water soluble, so when I hit these up with a paintbrush and water, the color is going to start to move around. I'm just playing with a little bit of a fade, so I'm coloring in the bottom of my letters right here. And this is going to be a whole lot of fun. Of course, you don't have to just do this technique inside of letters. You can do this technique anywhere in your design. Before I start to hit up my watercolor pencil with the water, I'm going to go ahead and color a little bit more with just the dry watercolor pencil. Now right here, I'm just coloring in little blocks of area around my letters up top. So even if you didn't do bubble letters, you can still have fun coloring in your lettering, or technically I should say coloring around your lettering. I'm going to go ahead and hit this up with some water. Now when we paint, it's very important that you take care of your materials. So I am not mashing this paintbrush down or scrubbing with this paintbrushes. These are good paintbrushes and we have to take really good care of them in order to use them. So I've got water in this paintbrush. I'm just using the tippy tip, so it's tippy tip and tickle. And I am going to get a little bit of water right there on that green, and look at that. That's just pulling that color right up to the top, and that is so cool. If I get outside of my lines, that is a-okay, it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to wring out that paintbrush just a little bit, and when I'm ready to switch colors, I just slide and glide that paintbrush on the edge of that cup. I'm not tapping it to send paint water flying everywhere. Wiggle, 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 slide and glide. Again, notice the whole time I'm painting, I'm really just touching the paper with the tippy tip of that paintbrush. I'm switching over to some markers now, and I'm actually not coloring too neatly on this. I'm just getting a little bit of that color inside of those designs around the edges. because I'm going to turn this marker into watercolor paint as well. Now be careful if you've already got wet area on your paper. You might want to just turn this paper. And I find that to be very helpful because I tend to drag my hand across the page. All right, so I've colored with my green Crayola marker, getting that paintbrush out, slide and glide to get a little extra water off, and then using the tippy tip of that paintbrush, I'm just going over that design all around the edges. And that water is activating that marker, and that marker is starting to become watercolor paint as well. Now, by the way, you can certainly color with marker or watercolor pencil or regular color pencil and not do any of the water techniques on here if you don't want to. If you wanted to do something in the background or the area behind the breastplate, then you can certainly do that. I'm just going to leave mine just white for now. One last demonstration really fast, just painting with the watercolor paint. Again, tippy tip and tickle with that paintbrush, being very gentle, activating my yellow paint. And the whole time I'm painting, once again, I'm being very careful not to mash and scrub. Now, if you get watercolor paint of one color next to watercolor paint of another color and it touches, those colors will run together. So just be aware of that. If you want that to happen, that's fine, but you might not. All right, now I'm gonna let this dry. Thanks for following along, y'all.